And it like got to the point where if I hadn't drove, I would have flown home. I don't know what I did to deserve this. So today's video is basically, well, it's technically a story time, but it's technically just me bitching and complaining about a road trip I went on. But it's mainly a story time because I am telling a story. I don't know, let's just go right into this video. So basically the gist is, I've talked about these girls before. There was 3 of us in total. Me and 2 other girls. We'll give them the names. We'll go with author names. One can be Whitney and one can be Stephanie. Whitney and Stephanie. Okay, so me, Whitney, and Stephanie went on a road trip to a different province right after me and Whitney. I hope I don't mix those 2 up. Me and Whitney just graduated from high school. So, what did I name the other one? Stephanie was a year older than us, so she had just finished her first year of university or college or whatever you want to call it. And the 3 of us were going to a different province because the drinking age was 18 and me and Whitney were 18. So we went to this province, but the first thing that happened, I was driving because neither of them wanted to drive, neither of them were willing to drive, so we took my car, I was driving, and about 2 hours away from home, my tire pretty much falls off. And I don't mean like popped, like I blew a tire. My tire like fell off. 3 out of 4 lug nuts had snapped. So then we had to make a pit stop at the Canadian Tire where they squeezed us in to get us a tire for my car, or new lug nuts. I can't even remember. I think it was just the new lug nuts. Like, I don't think they gave me a whole new tire. But they fixed the tire, and that was like a 4 or 5 hour delay. So then we continue on our merry way to this other province, and I guess I can just say we live in Saskatchewan and we went to Alberta. So we were on our way to Alberta, and I'll just say it was Edmonton. We were going to Edmonton, Alberta. And so we get there late, 4 or 5 hours later than what we had originally thought. And so the whole car ride, we luckily left early, like 7 in the morning, and it's only, I think, a 7-hour car ride. So we should have been there around 2, but instead of 2, we got there around 7 p.m. or something like that. I can't remember. This was like almost 6 years ago, 5.5 years ago-ish. But the entire car ride, these girls, Whitney and Stephanie, were not including me in conversation. Whoever was sitting in the front, I can't remember, but they would always be like, say Stephanie was in the front and Whitney was in the back, Stephanie would always be like, oh, Whitney, look at that. Whitney, isn't that cool? Whitney, we should do this weekend. We should do this. And literally, like, when I told my parents, my mom's like, oh, well, maybe, like, they just didn't want to distract you from driving. I'm like, it's a 7-hour car ride. Are they just not going to talk to me the whole time? And, like, they were talking to me, but they weren't including me in the conversation, if that makes any sense. So the whole reason we went to Edmonton was for a concert. It was Taylor Swift. We were going to buy last minute tickets. We had all these plans to go to the Taylor Swift concert. It never happened. We'll get into it. Go to the West Edmonton Mall Water Park. It never happened. We'll get into it. But the first night we got there, we got ready. We checked in the hotel, got ready, and went out to a bar. And again, the same thing was happening. They weren't including me. They were talking to each other. They were essentially leaving me out and making me feel left out. Whether it was their intention or not, they were making me feel left out. I remember phoning my friend that was back home and crying at the bar. Like, not crying, but like tearing up and being upset because these girls were not including me. And she was like talking to me, calming me down, whatever. We have drinks, we have some fun, I guess, and then we go back to the hotel, order pizza, whatever the hell we do, and then go to sleep. The next day we wake up and we go shopping at the mall. So that was all fine and dandy. I don't remember there being any conflict that day. We were just shopping, having fun, and I believe, to my memory, that day was fun. We were all getting along. They were including me, whatever. Like, I don't remember any conflict at the mall. We get back to the hotel. We're getting ready to go to a different bar that night, and Stephanie had a friend that lived in Edmonton, and so he was going to come to the bar with us. And he did, and it was fine and dandy, except the three of them were leaving me out because Whitney knew this friend as well. She wasn't friends with him, but Stephanie was like best friends with him, and Whitney knew who he was, and this was the first time I met him. So the three of them weren't including me again at this different bar, so I phoned a different friend and told her what was happening, and again, I was like upset, getting teary-eyed, whatever, and like you could say like I was drinking, so I was like over emotional like how girls are, but like that's not me. I am not an over emotional drunk, and I wasn't drunk. Like we had like maybe 2 drinks at that point, but it was the same situation that night. After a good day, from what I can remember, it was a bad night. We go home, whatever happened, we go to bed. The next day, I missed a part. That night was the Taylor Swift concert. We were supposed to go to the Taylor Swift concert. They decided that morning that they didn't want to buy tickets because we were buying last minute tickets. Like, I think they call them scalp tickets or whatever. We were going to buy last minute tickets. They decided that morning they did not want to buy last minute tickets because it was too expensive. So in my mind, we literally drove there 7 hours, I think it's 7 hours, to go to a concert that we didn't end up going to because they decided they were going to be cheap. They knew the prices of the tickets before we got there, so I kind of think they had already discussed it, and they were like, we're just not going to tell Kenzie until we get there. Because they had told me the prices was fine because we drove 7 hours to basically stay in a hotel, and that was it. So the next day, I wake up first, and I go down to the lobby, and I was just in such a mood. I was so upset. I remember phoning my dad, sitting downstairs in the lobby, and I bawled. Like, I just started crying. I phoned my dad, and I was like, I don't know what I did to deserve this. I don't know why they're acting like this. I don't know who pissed in their cornflakes, why they're treating me so poorly. I drove here in my car with them to go to this concert, to have a good night. We were there for 4 days. Like, we were in Edmonton for 2 days and then traveled for 2 days. And we had all these plans and nothing was happening. They weren't including me. They were making me feel like shit. And it's still something I do today, but I always think of like, what did I do to deserve this? What did I do for them to treat me so poorly? What did I do? And I remember just being on the phone with my dad in the hotel lobby, like crying. And then he's the one that can calm me down. So he's talking to me and trying to calm me down. And it like got to the point where if I hadn't drove, I would have flown home. Like, that's how upset I was. I was so over it. It got to the point that if I hadn't been the one to drive, I would have flown home. That is how over it I was. So, my dad's trying to talk to me, calm me down. I end up walking to Starbucks to get a drink, and then walking back to the hotel, going up to our room again, and they were still sleeping. That day, because we didn't go to the concert, they had decided that we would go to the water park. We all liked swimming and we liked going to pools and whatever. They had said, oh, we'll go to the water park the next day. That was because it was our free day. We hadn't made any plans for this day. Keep in mind, this is the 3rd day of the trip, but the second day and the last day in Edmonton. And if you guys don't know, Google Edmonton Water Park. It is like one of the biggest water parks in Canada. One of the biggest water parks in Canada. And they finally wake up. I want to say it was like around noon. So I had been up since like 8 or 9 in the morning, talked to my dad, had my little bitch fit, went and got my Starbucks, and went back on to put on a face that I was like unfazed and unbothered. Because like I didn't want to make it awkward or make the situation tense, because we still had like a day and a half left together by the time they woke up. So they wake up, they start getting ready, whatever. We go downstairs to get something to eat. We come back up, and then they brought it up again, like they had already previously discussed it, how they didn't want to go to the water park anymore, and that they didn't know what they wanted to do, but they didn't want to go to the water park anymore. If you guys can't tell, these girls were the type of people that could not stick to a plan. They could not stick to their word. They could not, I don't know. They were those people. Those people that you just don't like to hang out with. I hung out with them. So I was like, okay, well, what do you guys want to do? Like, I'm not just gonna sit in my hotel room. Like, we drove all the way here. We paid all this money to stay in this hotel and come to Edmonton. Like, it's not cheap to drive 7 hours. It's not cheap to stay in a hotel. I mean, now it is because of everything going on. But back then, it was not cheap. It was like $200 a night. So it was $200 per person for the 3 nights. And then gas to get there, again, wasn't cheap. So they're just like, oh, I don't know. And so we kind of sat in our room for like a good hour, 2 hours. And then I finally got fed up again. And I snapped, and I was like, well, I'm going down to the pool then. If you guys don't want to go to the water park, I'm at least going downstairs to the hotel pool. Like, I'm not sitting in the hotel room all day because you guys can't make up your mind of what you want to do, and you guys can't stick to a freaking plan. So they came down to the pool with us, and down in the pool was closed, so we had to sit in the gym and wait for them to be done cleaning the pool. And then we drove home the next day. We literally, that day, all we did was sit in the hotel room till probably 1 or 2 p.m. Probably 2 p.m. Went down to the pool we sat in the hot tub, and like there wasn't even a water slide at our hotel pool. We literally sat in the hot tub and went to the pool for maybe 2 hours, went for supper, and then just stayed in the hotel room for the night. That is what we went to Edmonton for. We went for a concert and ended up just spending an entire day of our trip in the hotel room. I was not thrilled. I was very, very upset for numerous reasons about this trip. But then we drove home the 7 hours, and it was fine. It was peachy. I don't remember there being much conflict on the way home either. Like, they weren't including me or anything like that again. But at that point, I was used to it. And I should have prefaced this whole video that this wasn't the first and only time that they had acted like this towards me. Looking back, it's like one of those things when you're older and you can look back at a friendship and you're like, they really didn't give 2 shits about you. They really didn't care. But in the moment, I thought we were the 3 best friends. I thought we were the 3 musketeers. Like, it had been that relationship to me back then, but then looking at all the shit they put me through, I was basically just a doormat and basically just somebody who was always there, and they knew that I would always be there. But joke's on them, I'm no longer there anymore. So, yeah, I'm no longer friends with these girls. I guess I should have said that in the beginning as well. However, like, I have no bad blood with them. With the one girl, I can't even remember who was who, Whitney or what was the other one? Stephanie? Whitney or Stephanie? I can't remember who was who, but I'm like acquaintances with one girl, and then the one girl I like never see, never talk to. So that is how this road trip went, and this was probably, like, we had been like going up, 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 up. This was the tip of the point where it just started going down, 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 down until where we are today, where we're no longer friends. But, yeah, I guess that's it for today's story time, you guys. I don't know if this was a story time or a rant or a bitch fit or whatever you want to call it, but I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I hope you subscribe so you never miss a video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.